Welcome to the Rec Room with Mandy and Mio, a podcast about books and the people who write them.
Longing, a rusted furnace.
Those days are over.
I know. I just wanted to see how the new you reacts to the old words. Just like I wanted to see what the new adventures did for the old Christine.
And boy, oh boy, what a surprise it was.
Guys, when we tell you...
Now we should say, we're recording this on the week, the Saturday after the 5th
episode 5
of Falcon and the Winter Soldier has come out.
Uh-huh.
So we
want you to know that what the reading you just heard was a for real joke that we had made 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We made this joke 2 weeks ago,
Not
and we refused.
That
we literally
3 weeks later, the joke was so powerful that Julia Louis-Dreyfus would appear in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, effectively making the show The New Adventures of
of old Christine.
No, but her name was De Fontaine or something,
cannot tell
right?
you. We
That's
were
what she
laughing
said.
so
we
hard.
were,
I cannot
we
tell
were
you
literally
who her
shrieking,
character
guys.
was.
I want you to know that was really when am I talking to? I keep saying guys, but when whoever's out there in the
in the ether.
Literally, it was so crazy that literally I don't know what that whole scene was about.
I really can't tell you what happened.
Me too, because it was literally just being I can't believe we manifested this.
Yeah.
And I mean, all we know is that she talked to him and said that she has to call him. And now part of me is
in my head, I heard the Seinfeld theme playing.
No, and then I remember I told you right after when it panned up to her face and she took off her shades, I was like, am I really racist? Because she looked so much like Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and then when it went all the way up to her face, I was like, oh shit.
Wait, but you remember how we were saying at first that we thought it was going to be Baron Zemo, and then it showed the high heels, and then I was like, it better be Baron Zemo.
Because she was walking to them to Walker and his wife, and then I literally was like, oh man, it's gonna be Zemo, he's gonna look fab, and then it was heels, and I was like, yeah, this is gonna be Zemo, and it was jokes on us talaga.
Yeah.
Crazy shit.
Yeah, but Baron Zemo. Well, one thing I will say related to what we did earlier was that I kind of wish that they retroactively retconned the casting of Baron Zemo and then just use their Disney connections to make Werner Herzog
make it more
play Baron Zemo. Prison changed him
as prison. Yeah, and it was to be fair,
because he was
in a really secluded prison.
Yeah, and he was such a
when it was and then remember our joke part was because it was a German prison.
Yeah,
they still treated him pretty well.
Merkel was yes, let me watch Hulu here. That's how I caught all the episodes of Old Christine.
I have access to Netflix. Weirdly enough, we don't have Disney Plus.
Yeah, Disney Plus is somehow the only platform not streaming in Germany. I wish I could explain why, but
I can't.
The powers
I just physically can't.
In the end, Zemo does not have to worry about Disney Plus not being available in Germany if that were the case.
Yeah.
Because you know what?
They probably have it in Wakanda.
But I will, you know why I say that? Because you know what doesn't stream on Disney Plus?
This podcast?
Called The Rec Room with Mandy and Mio. The show where we ask the question, when does a writer's work become required reading? In each episode, we take popular authors of the day and review each entry in their bibliographies to see just how close these writers get to the sweet spot between mainstream breakout success and traditional literary sensibility. My name is Mio.
I'm Mandy.
And I should say, that spiel I just did is what we usually do, is what we've been doing for the past few months. But as we announced at the end of our last episode on Grand Union by Zadie Smith, we are doing something a little different this summer. So I might actually have to like alter that spiel a bit, and you know,
in the future,
make it more make it more accurate. I guess. Yeah, basically.
Oh, okay.
Because what we did say was that this summer we're not focusing on a single author's body of work or like focusing on bibliographies per se. And part of that was coming out of like both of us like realizing like we should try like other story forms apart from the novel. We've just been doing exclusively novels, and like
and also because like between the two of us, like we do like naman other formats
absolutely
a lot better. I feel like a lot of people, because I will say that one feedback was like, wow, you guys really like reading novels, and for me I was like, no. I literally was like, absolutely not.
I will say you like we were both like at some point we're just like, oh,
this is grueling.
Like, like can't believe the
like
rush.
even our majors didn't do this to us.
Well,
we did it to ourselves.
I don't know about your majors.
Oh, I don't know about. Oh, that's
I
true.
did some electives that were kind of like this style, but yeah. So basically, we wanted to do like different storytelling forms, and I think that also speaks to, I guess, like being somebody who works in a creative capacity in this day and age, is that you don't just get inspiration, or you don't just learn from one form anyway. You can learn from lots of forms, whether they are novels or short stories or movies or music or, you know, whatever, you know, like we wanted to focus on that.
Right.
And so what this episode really is it's kind of just our bonus episode to announce some details about the summer semester, some of the longer things that we'll be discussing and focusing on over the summer, and yeah, just kind of giving you guys like a heads up on what to read up on before we go in.
And we hope you'll stick with it. We hope you
really do.
like it.
We're really trying to branch out.
Actually, we're trying to you know, do some things that actually some of these suggestions came from when we did that Q&A. So
a lot of them are also things that like hearkening to like stories that we've loved, or like stories and like works that we've loved, and like trying to explain like what's the thing that we loved about them, or how these things like influence like our own creative practices in their own way. And like our hope is that like in trying to share them with like other people through this platform, we kind of like, I don't know, just get people to feel that way too about their favorite things, or something
or
like
maybe
that,
they'll find new favorite things with us.
Yeah, and like, or like even like to juxtapose them against like popular storytelling methods of the day. So like we've been talking about the novel that's been around for like hundreds of years,
billions,
but like billions.
I'm not sure. Maybe
I
not
don't know about that. but like especially like today, you know, like when there's a popular notion of the novel being looked at as this like high ivory tower art form. What are the stories that are most popular today? And I mean, this episode is going to be us briefly talking about arguably the most popular worldwide storytelling franchise.
Yeah, that's happened in the past 10 years.
Yeah, and where it's going, and it's like, it's funny because like when we decided like, oh, maybe we should talk a little bit about how Marvel's doing, like we have to say like we're not coming at this with like some unique insight. I don't know if we're necessarily gonna have hot takes. One thing that we're trying to do in this show, rather than, I mean, aside from just like leaning more on our central premise rather than like the stated premise that I keep reading out in every episode, we want to try to apply the same level of analysis on like something as popular as like Marvel.
Yeah.
Right.
Correct.
And so that is what this is. And again, as I said, we're recording this episode after having seen the penultimate episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's been like a month since WandaVision
I know, and that seems
ended,
crazy to me.
right? You know, the weeks just go by.
These I feel like I guess it's also because the structure of, and we'll go into this, but like WandaVision the episodes were much shorter, and also each episode had like really crazy cliffhangers.
Yeah. Also,
but these ones not so much. Like the one
thing,
today was the biggest cliffhanger, I think.
The interesting thing about WandaVision is that one, like the structure of the week-to-week episode was more predictable there than it was here. Like here, this is just like a story that they're telling. But at least like with WandaVision, you could kind of like expect like, oh, this episode they're doing the 50s. Oh, this one's the 60s now. Now they're going to the 70s and then 80s, 90s. So like it was like very predictable up until its end point.
Right.
Which, okay, arguably I still think it was still, going into the predictable direction.
Yeah.
But like,
which is not inherently bad.
Yeah, which is not inherently bad. But like this one, it was like harder to get a grasp on like, well, where are they gonna go next? Or like, you'd be surprised about certain scenes in spite of them like appearing in the trailer like we saw in this episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, like things like that, they were, like that. But I mean, like we were saying, like before we started recording, I mean, like I was telling you that between the two shows, I don't know how you feel about this, but I kind of am leaning more to Falcon and Winter Soldier more than I am to WandaVision.
Me too. Oh, sorry, my mic almost fell. But me too, and not like to sound biased. Like I feel like everyone,
right?
Of course you would.
Yeah,
but then like
no reason that you should be biased,
no reason
Amanda.
at all.
There's nobody, nothing. There's no reason
about this that has haunted me for years.
Yeah.
No, but really, like I feel like, and I'm really wondering if this again it has anything to do with episode length because. Sure. Again, because the things I said again too many times, sorry. Nice. Because the episodes are pretty long. Like I think the shortest one was 45. But like since last week it's been almost an hour. Actually I think since episode 2 it's been almost an hour.
Right.
And so parang like with credits it's like 57 minutes. And they get to cover a lot of bases without having to make such heavy cliffhangers that stress you out too hard. I mean, obviously, the nature of what they're talking about now is it is so stressful and in different ways and in a lot of intersectional ways. But I like how they're doing it in that it's not stressful because WandaVision was really like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Whereas this is like, I feel like, because we have friends who what they did with WandaVision.
I think you mean WandaVision.
WandaVision. Was that racist?
No. Good question. I really, at this point, hard to tell. But
anyway, so, when we, what? Oh, yeah, we have friends who like waited until the day of the last episode, or the day before the last episode of WandaVision to binge the whole thing.
Right.
And then when the last one came out, they watched it with everybody already. And I have friends who are doing the same thing with Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I said that I think if they do that with this, it won't be as difficult to binge as WandaVision was, because they were like, that was so stressful because I felt like the whole time I was on edge for no reason.
Right.
And I think even if you binge it and even if you don't, it was like that. But with this one, it's very smooth. And it's very like, I feel like it's also because it's very straight to the point when it needs to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the greater strengths of Falcon and Winter Soldier over WandaVision is that it feels a little more confident in the story that it's telling. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, at least with WandaVision, even though we were saying that, like, that structure was predictable, it kind of fell back on that too much, which I think was one of its failings.
Agree. Like, to the it relied on the whole sitcom thing.
Like the whole fact, like, okay, you have in the first episode the whole 50s subplot where they're trying to impress Vision's boss, played by Fred Melamed. And his wife,
exactly. Which
the mom
from that 70s show.
But they don't really come back, except for the mom. The wife. They don't come back in a very significant way at the end of the series.
Yeah.
And ostensibly,
I mean, they're it's basically just to be all like, hey, remember they're real
like,
people.
Oh, like, turns out, right? But at least like here, and like, I mean, spoilers if you haven't seen the 5th episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but like it became like instantly clear, like when he came back, when Sam goes back to I forget his name, was it Isaiah, the guy played by Carl Lumbly from Alias?
Oh yes.
That
Isaiah.
that Isaiah is supposed to represent a lot of things that this show is trying to ask about, like questions about like how black people can be seen as heroes, or how they get shafted by the traditional American narrative, and it gets it got super deep in that regard. But I never felt that in any way with like Fred Melamed in WandaVision, which is like frustrating. And I was saying earlier to you that this is, I think, going into like my main articulation for why I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier is something that I like better than WandaVision, is because that at least feels more like a proper sequel to the Captain America movies. And not just in the sense of this being about the side characters who were in the Captain America movies, but this is like very much following off all the implications of everything that was introduced in Captain America. From the super soldier serum to like, the
Wakanda even,
or like military privatization, all these things like that were like hot topics in each of the individual Captain America movies. They're all being
and then
explored.
also like what it means to be holding the shield.
I
think that if anything, like everyone kind of knew that that was gonna be it, like, because obviously one of the very first lines we ever heard in the trailers was the shield is complicated, or the legacy of that shield is complicated. And Anthony Mackie always made, in interviews, he was always like, oh, but I never said yes to accepting it. So we always knew that the show was going to be about him reckoning with what it means to be Captain America, but we didn't think that it would be directly like what you just said, offshooting from all the like being a collective sequel of all the previous movies. Because I think also we got used to, in the Cap fandom, we've got used to things not really making any sense.
Sure.
So I think for us, at least for me, I was kind of like, okay, this is clearly going to be an exploration of how things affected the two of them in different ways, and then what they're going to do moving forward. And I thought it was going to be a lot of moving forward. Yeah. But instead, it's been predominantly sitting with it and trying to see what it means for each of them. And then also sitting with the fact that, like all the racial stuff. And then all the new Hydra stuff.
Right,
I mean, yeah.
And it's wrestling with all those themes in a very satisfying way.
Yes.
Like, I think if you contrast this with, like, WandaVision, like, there's the big takeaway of that line, what is love if not, what is grief if not love persevering? Which I mean, like, on the surface level, I don't have any issue with that line.
Yeah.
But it did ring a little hollow to me.
Yeah.
In terms of, like telling a story beat in the continuing story of Wanda and Vision.
Yeah, correct.
And that goes now to like my larger contrast between WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is that WandaVision doesn't feel like a sequel to anything, and that doesn't sound like a solid point at first, but like that's bearing in mind the fact that Wanda and Vision, much like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, have been in this universe for a while, and they've been in the sides, and like now they're in the limelight. But the show kind of treats them, with the exception of Endgame, it treats Endgame as their only starting point.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say that if anything, this is... Well, you mentioned earlier that this could just be either for a direct sequel to Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
But then, like, if anything, they're really acting like... Oh, also, this is like a... Like, if anything, it's like a big... mini, or like if you watch it all in one go, it could be a short film that you could have watched right after Endgame.
Yeah.
But then even then it wouldn't have been as, like, for example, I think also dealing with the effects of Endgame is not as predominant, as which I don't expect it to have been, because again, it's supposed to be about Wanda and Vision.
Yeah.
But then whereas in Falcon and Winter Soldier, they really were like, all these things happened as a result of the blip. Yeah. And then, not to mention, there's been a lot of, systemic issues plaguing the nation since the beginning of time, and how does the blip fall into that, and then also etc. etc. So parang it seems more, and I hate to use this word, holistic in a sense, but not even in a kalat way or in a messy way, because I feel like there could have been so many ways that this would have gotten really messy, and not as cohesive as it's been so far. Because I think it would have been easy for them to fall back on those issues too hard in the same way that WandaVision did with the sitcom concept.
And I mean, like, to the point of like the age of it, like it should have been like a sequel to Age of Ultron. I mean, like, that's the movie where both of those characters get introduced essentially. Right. And like, as flawed as that movie is, it does raise a lot of interesting questions about human frailty, right? Like, that's the whole idea, is that like Ultron is like ultimately rebelling against like man's inability to be 1,000,000% efficient, which he's trying to do by eliminating all of the Avengers and humanity, so to speak, right? And that's like a point that they and with the remainder of like the movies up until Infinity War, where they splinter the Avengers by saying like, well, some of you are right, some of you are wrong about that, and like maybe Ultron was right, and all those things. But it doesn't really feel like it leads past any of those questions, and it focuses on something that feels like very brand new. Which again, that's something in itself that I don't have an issue with. I don't have an issue with the fact that this show is about exploring grief, but it almost feels like it wasted the potential for this to be about characters that we've supposedly known. And at the same time, like, I think the clearest manifestation of that also is in the ways that it would name drop or like reference things that, to us and the outside world, we're like, whoa, that's supposed to be a big thing. But like, it doesn't really mean anything in the context of the world of the show. So like I think the most egregious example is when Agatha says, "You are the Scarlet Witch," and it's like, we know that since day one.
We've known that since 2014.
But the show never explains what that means, right? Like
she parang, it's like the context is supposed to be because she knows, because she's so old and she's read from the book essentially. She knows what that means, and clearly Wanda doesn't. Like, she don't give shit. But for us, it's really like, okay, we've actually been calling, like, people on the internet have been calling her Scarlet Witch since she showed up.
Nobody watched Age of Ultron and was like, "Ooh, Wanda Maximoff! Like, I wonder if she's gonna turn into the Scarlet Witch." Like,
exactly. And so parang, I don't know.
It would have been funny if they had also like a Quicksilver series, and then someone was like, "You will become the quickest silver." Excuse me.
But it's like Harry Potter, and it's like, "You're a Quicksilver, Peter," and then he's just like, "I'm a what?"
So it felt weird. It felt weird to that. But that was my issue. That was like why, like, looking at it now, even at this point, like I was saying when we were watching the 5th episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like, the action of that episode happens up front.
Yes,
like,
it literally isn't only the first 10 minutes.
5 to 10 minutes. And I was like, this is the best episode.
They don't have exactly. They don't have another fight scene for the rest of the... And again, I think that's it, because for example, like, a lot of people who were working on the show would say stuff like, if you enjoyed Captain America 2, aka Captain America the Winter Soldier, aka Steve Rogers, Bucky Barnes, you would really enjoy Falcon and Winter Soldier, because they were gonna follow that format more than anything, since Civil War was so tonally different,
right?
And so, which is what made everyone excited. But then, again, a lot of people kind of were expecting it to be not that deep, I think, which is great, because they totally, flipped everyone's expectations.
Completely.
When the premiere date was nearing more and more, and Anthony could say more, he was really like, we're gonna discuss stuff that hasn't been touched yet in the MCU, which is great, which is what they've done because they really fully acknowledged systemic oppression, and brought about things that we didn't even consider, or me as a non-Black person didn't even consider, when it comes to the past of Sinabaki and Steve in the war, and was it possible that other people could have had the serum and he didn't know, and people didn't know? Like, it was established in Civil War that there were other super soldiers, but your mind might as well have just we're all gonna be white, and I think when they allude to that in the movie, it kind of does look like they're all white,
right?
So so there's that, and then also the whole thing with the what are they called? Carly Morgenthau?
Oh, the Flag Smashers.
The Flag Smashers.
Carly, as in Rae Jepsen.
Carly Rae Jepsen. Yes, correct. And the Flag Smashers is actually her fandom name. No, but the whole thing with her, I really found interesting because I think a lot of us thought that the main issue was gonna be them reckoning with a new Cap.
Yeah.
Them having to fight that new Cap in some way or form.
Yeah.
And then while still trying to defeat the Flag Smashers.
Yeah.
Which and they're kind of pulling a what do you call this? A Scarlet Witch on her, because I think in the comics she's Songbird, isn't she? And they haven't called her that once, but she's been whistling this whole time. So we know she's Songbird, but does she know she's Songbird?
Yeah.
What else did we want to say?
Yeah, so I think to that credit, like I also wanted to focus a little bit on the people who are like in charge of like telling the story, because like I remember being curious about that when like I realized like, oh, they're really gonna commit to doing TV series and serialized storytelling, because like more than anything, what the format that Marvel has been following in terms of planning its films is that it's been borrowing from TV, like serializing the stories and trying to figure out, well, how do these beats connect to the beat that we established in the previous film? And how do we end this film on a cliffhanger so that it leads directly into the next film? Like it really felt like we were watching TV, and Avengers Endgame was like the season finale that everyone in the world saw, and like, we were all just like going crazy over it.
Exactly.
And so now for them to actually do something that's in the TV format and like go turn to TV people, that was interesting to me, because like the way that it works in TV, it's not like in film where the director is kind of the one calling the stylistic shots and figuring out the tone, the feel of the movie, how they're going to focus on the characters, how the story is going to be told. And when you go to TV, the director is less prevalent than the executive producer.
Right.
So if you apply that executive producer metaphor to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, really the executive producer who's been in charge of everything is Kevin Feige, who's been in his own way like homogenizing the style of the Marvel movies, so that while they do get like big directors from time to time to helm the movies, ultimately there's a larger blueprint that they have to follow, where they have to make sure that they do this in this scene so that it establishes that in the next movie that they have no control over, that sort of thing. And like I was curious to see like, well, who are they going to get to run WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier? And one thing that I found interesting is that the person who they got to do WandaVision was one of the writers for Captain Marvel.
Oh, yes, that's right. You told me about this.
And so, like, I could sort of see, like, okay, I can see sort of where those things align. There's a lot there about grief in both of those things, and, like, learning to, like, deal with historical grief and historical trauma and trying to move past it. It's like, certainly. And then the person who they got for Falcon and the Winter Soldier is somebody who's been working as a script writer for the television series Empire. Malcolm Spellman, who was supposed to be on the HBO series that was going to be the follow-up after Game of Thrones for the guys who ran that show. and that show was supposed to be about like an alternate universe in which the South won the Civil War, and it was like canceled before it like even got off the ground. So I was like, no, we're not gonna do that.
Maybe.
But like the fact that he was given the reins over deciding what the story would be in this show, given what I would expect, like the expected story beats of like, probably we could probably like put out our predictions now, but like, I'm obviously like Sam has to become Captain America at the end of the series.
Absolutely. I mean, you said so yourself in the ending sequence of this episode. You were like, oh, he's literally training like himself to be Cap without the serum,
and like there's
which is something that you would have to assume John Walker didn't necessarily do. Or because he thought that you would just have the shield and that's all your power.
And like that's consistent with like themes that like Spider-Man has been setting up. Like who are you without the suit?
Exactly. Iron Man had that
soldier,
too. Similarly enough,
versus a good soldier, that whole thing.
Right.
So like. And like the whole 5th episode, they were teasing that Bucky had gotten something from the Wakandans made for Sam. They don't show what it is, but like it has to be his like Captain America,
his own suit.
Falcon variant suit. That sort
exactly.
Of thing. So it's like, surely that's gonna happen. Walker is not gonna make it through this.
He's 100% not.
Like if he's gonna be like the way that they treated Bullseye in the Daredevil series on Netflix, where like you think he's dead, but actually he's not really dead, and it's just gonna be an internal struggle, whatever.
Right.
Which is like fine, whatever. But like at least like giving Malcolm Spellman the reins over Falcon and the Winter Soldier, him getting to figure out the story, and directing it, I think is like a lot more ingenious than giving like an individual director the reins over each of those films, each of the in the film versions, because like at least with the films I don't feel them as much, but it feels like at least here in Falcon and the Winter Soldier he's coming from somewhere very personal, and like things that he's been holding on to a lot, and this is like one of his first big breaks. I mean, looking at his credits, no. Which is like cool, like,
and good for him.
Really
really good for him. At least it wasn't Confederate. Jesus Christ.
Not the HBO series Confederate. Thank God.
Not at all.
That being said, like I kind of like am also. We were saying earlier when Loki comes out, that's a show that I hope will be maybe a sequel to the Thor movies.
Yes.
But then again, that's also Loki as a character. I'm 100% comfortable with it not having an overarching plot. Like,
I feel like that's also what I feel like, because of the nature of Loki as a human person. He's not a human person. As the god of mischief, I think it's gonna be a lot of setup, but like I think it's gonna be done really cleverly, in a way that's like it's not gonna be as clean as Falcon and Winter Soldier, I think is what, but then I think it's supposed to be like that. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what I'm predicting.
I think they should just do like Adventure of the Week style, like Mandalorian. If they did that, like I'd be so happy. Like best show, they did it. They really nailed it again. And I don't know, like that has me wondering as well about like Endgame felt like a good break for people to leave Marvel if they wanted to. I wonder when like Marvel fatigue will settle in for us, because I think we're still quite firmly in.
Honestly, okay, you know my answer.
Well, I mean,
my answer. My answer is
go on. Why are you still in on Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Amanda? What is your stake here? Tell me.
My steak?
Yeah, go on. Your big piece.
Medium rare.
Okay.
No, okay. A lot of people did kind of leave the MCU when Chris left. And when Robert Downey Jr. left. I think a lot of the older male fans especially. But the younger fans are staying for the continuation of Cap, because obviously a lot of people want to see where it's going to go. Which I saw, like even a lot of Chris stans online are still very religiously following Falcon Winter Soldier, because they want to see how much of it also still involves
Yeah.
Steve in some way or
Yeah.
form, which is not inherently bad because
Yeah.
like obviously that's still gonna be, he's been mentioned in almost every episode.
It's sort of funny. It's like even if he hasn't actually shown up in the series, there's a part of you
know.
that imagines that whether he's alive or dead, you can imagine him watching the show also from some great height and being like, "Oh, you guys, I'm rooting
Like
for you."
literally, yeah. He's just in some retirement home in fucking New York City.
Yeah.
I hope it's New York City. Jesus Christ.
Oh, do you think he's gonna come back next week? By the way,
No, I don't think so.
You really don't think
Chris,
so?
I think so, just because of how Chris.
he's not gonna do like
as a
a
human person.
10-second
I don't think so.
Smartaco endorsement.
I hope not. That would be really weird. Or it could be like in, you know how in Community, what Pierce's last scene was him as a hologram.
Oh yeah.
If they do that, that would be great.
Yeah, they
I would
imply,
accept
like,
that.
"Oh,
I would
Steve
accept
died.
that.
He's now a hologram,
And now he's a
He
exactly.
vapor.
And there's his vapor, and then it's just it's Bucky being like, "Quick, somebody get a balloon."
Oh, I miss that show. So good.
So good indeed. And okay, so I just wanna so to answer your question though is that my stake in the MCU. Well, okay, what's your answer? When would you think you'd get your MCU fatigue?
My thing is, it depends a lot on what the direction I think of the series is gonna be now, or the cinematic universe is gonna be now that they've like executed like their first major plan.
Right.
And I think that's the one thing that's lacking right now from both Falcon Winter, WandaVision, is that we don't know where the cinematic universe is going next. Like there's all this talk about multiverse, but that hasn't really been super set up.
Yeah.
Unlike, I mean, like if you go back to what the feeling was like when they were doing the individual movies of Iron Man and Captain America and Thor, we knew that was leading up to Avengers. And then once they got to that first goalpost, then they set up another goalpost, which is that we're going to do the Infinity Saga, right? We're going to do Infinity War. Now that that's done, it's like, okay, so what's the next big thing? Eternals? Like what that's the next hurdle that they have to clear because that's not as popular. Like we don't know. I don't really know anything about the Eternals.
Right.
So like
exactly. I don't either. Except for that what's his name is super hot in it. So oh god, I'm super who's
Go
in
on.
it?
Is it
No. Am I thinking this is Eternals, right?
Right. So wait, sorry, are you talking about Sebastian Stan?
No, Sebastian's not
Am I
in Eternals.
mistaking him for anyone?
No. Sebastian's not in Eternals.
No, I must be mistaking him for somebody else.
I'm thinking of Kumail.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about Richard Madden.
No,
a lot of people that we know confuse him for Sebastian Stan. That was the in-joke I was referencing.
When this episode is done being edited, can you take that clip out and we'll send it to the specific person
got it.
we know.
I've marked it.
Thanks very much. No, and just so that we're still, on this, for all the Seb stands out there, we have a cousin who literally every time you show her two pictures of Sebastian and Richard Madden side by side, even if they look extremely different in the pictures, she will not know who is who.
Right.
And that's offensive to Romanians, I think.
Yeah.
No, but that being said, that's my stake in I think I will get MCU fatigue the
If
day
Kumail.
Sebastian. If Sebastian was like, all right, my contract's up, I'll be like, oh, okay.
Do we know how many movies he has left? Or
He
what's
has
engagement?
Yes, I kind of do.
Okay, go on.
I kind of do. Yes,
No.
No. I know it's supposed to be at least another 3-ish years counting this year.
Right. Okay.
Since I think COVID really affected the contract, so
Right.
since everything got bumped up and stuff, it's for sure that Emily Van Camp has to come back again for something, and then but then honestly I don't know what that means. It's like when talking about predictions and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily sure if that means that we'll get a second season of this,
which
I wouldn't mind.
I really
but
doubt
then,
it. Like, what? Where can they go with it?
Because what would you do with it? Like, would it just go into the comics then? Because I mean, they do have their own, arc, and then they do have that whole thing about old Steve giving him the shield and then accepting it and stuff like that, and then they also have that arc where they're Captain America together. So
this is
I wonder what it's gonna do.
This is gonna be like I'm gonna do it like my comic nerd bonafide, but like I remember when I was growing up, I was reading they had repackaged the Avengers and they were trying to retell their story in like an Ultimate series. They called it the Ultimate series, and the Avengers there were called the Ultimates. And like the whole idea was that they had Ultimates 1 and Ultimates 2, and they had their own like dedicated story arcs. And I remember being all in on Ultimates 1 and Ultimates 2 because like they were like, if you've never really like followed the Avengers before, like this is a good place to start. You'll really get to know all of them, which is ostensibly what they've done. But then when it got to Ultimates 3, it felt like I'd missed so much, and they like jumped forward in the storytelling, and I felt completely lost. Right. So I couldn't really like follow it anymore. And I wonder if that might happen here.
Right. That's correct.
Especially with like the Disney Plus as a platform not really spreading out yet.
Yeah. Right.
And whatever that's gonna say about like the movies that they're gonna come out.
Yeah. So because Black Widow is gonna be on Disney Plus,
right?
Isn't it?
And like for them to be confident enough to say, certain portion of the world will not be able to see Black Widow yet. They're confident enough that they haven't put it too much into it that will affect the future of Phase 4.
Exactly. Also, speaking about what's her name? Florence Pugh. Some people think that like so in terms of like Seb's contract, some people think that there might be this is just another like fandom, of course, prediction na parang baka there might be more Red Room stuff,
right? And
he'll go back to try and fix that as well.
Okay.
But that might be a multiverse thing since the MCU now he didn't Red Room,
right?
So baka that might be a thing. I don't know. But then also I think it's been fun. I'm really happy for them.
Yeah, these are good.
I'm really
good shows.
It's what they deserve, really, because like I think for the long time, everybody who is kind of a Cap stan knows that they're the most underdog in the movies, because obviously it's always been about other people. And I mean, not to say that there aren't other characters that I wish were also explored in this manner, because obviously I do, and sana that happens in the future now that they're introducing shows as a format. But it was good that they started with these 4 people with WandaVision, and then they started with and then Falcon and Winter Soldier, because we love them. and also the fact that this show came about because of whoever decided to put Anthony and Seb together for Civil War promos. Like, whoever was that person that was smart enough to be all like, maybe Chris should do stuff by himself, and then these two should just be together. Because that's what they were all saying. Yeah, like, literally, they were like, these two hoes need to just be together. Because that's what they were saying, that, like, they know that all their interviews together kind of went viral at the time.
Right.
And then they were like, because I think at the time Marvel wasn't even considering doing Falcon Winter Soldier arc, even if it was already starting in the comics. They were like, maybe we don't have time for that. And then I think after everyone really saw them together on the press circuit, they kind of pivoted, which is incredible, because that kind of shows then like how, I guess they're willing to add something in the long run. Yeah. If it makes sense, and this definitely makes sense. Yeah. But I do agree that I don't think that there will be a second season unless they make it like, I don't know.
I mean, to your point, like that's I think one of the other like shining things about this show, like just to put another like jewel in its crown, is that it very cleverly exploits that dynamic to the point like one of your I remember one of the things that you were pointing out to me was that like this show is a lot actually about like Bucky like confronting his own grief over what he did, and like the first episode is a lot about that, about him trying to make reparations towards the people that he wronged, but they're able to like balance it with him against Sam. Sam seeing him not as like an assassin or as a killer, but you know, as somebody he can joke around with and make fun of.
Yeah.
And like literally be a friend.
Yeah. Which they, you know, tried to set up in Civil War.
Yeah.
But then by the time Infinity War came about, he was already coming around. And then I think them setting it up there was really good because all of us were always saying that we wish that they interacted more in the movies. And now they had a whole fucking show together.
Yeah.
So, good for you.
6 weeks of new sub content.
I know. It's too much. I'm not used to it. But yeah, I do hope, I hope that there's a bit more of them. Because I think it would be kind of well, no, I don't know. Depends on how next week goes.
It really depends.
Oh, God.
All right.
Next week.
Is there anything else we want to say about the Falcon? The Winter
okay, wait.
Soldier?
My total prediction for the next episode in general, because I think we've been doing predictions about Marvel as a whole, but to next week episode, number one, okay, if you haven't watched the episode yet, I think we haven't really said super spoilers, but I'm gonna try and say some now.
We've said a few.
Yeah, no, but I think that the Asian Australian dude na sidekick ni Carly.
Wait, as in Ray Jepsen?
Yeah, as in Ray Jepsen. I think he's gonna die, because he's gonna betray her, and then because they plan on pulling a civil war and bombing yet another big international organization or international peace organization. Earlier you said that the One World.
Yeah, One World.
You know what? I almost became super konyo and I almost said One World, One Tao.
No.
If you haven't listened to the our last episode, which is Grand Union, in the beginning we had just watched episode 1 and we had caught at the
isang mundo,
and we were talking about how we
tao.
Caught in the we caught the Philippines, and then in today's episode they
had like a Philippine delegate.
They had a Philippine for the GRC, which
is like
triggered
amazing.
me.
Like
I literally was like, wow. And then in my head I literally said, God, I hope she's not DDS.
wait, hold on. Like, since you brought up like the Madripoor thing, again.
Madripoor. We haven't talked about Madripoor yet.
The one gripe we have with it, which is that Madripoor, supposedly Singapore, but no Asian.
But in supposedly Singapore, located in Indonesia, with no Asians. We counted. There were 2 Asians, and one of them died.
Yeah,
Sharon literally killed him.
We were saying, what if the implication of that is that Madripoor is a place where only the criminal elements are like populated by like white people?
Yeah, exactly. And
like,
I was like, so
to,
Madripoor is
like,
the new Australia?
Yeah. So
and then it doesn't really help at all how when they arrived at that party, when they came out of
song,
they were playing Shanty Dope.
Yeah.
Why in the hell? I literally was like, no, Justice for Stupid Love by Salva Huta. That should have been the song. Or the Kikiam Lima song. That's what I said on Twitter. Anyway, so so they're gonna attack. Obviously, the GRC's gonna get attacked. Sina and Sam are gonna try and infiltrate it. We're gonna get the new Sam suit reveal. I think by the end of it, he'll finally say that he is Captain America. But I feel like he's gonna do it in a rogue way, like in the way that Steve was like non-Captain America in Infinity War onwards. By the end of it, they're definitely gonna team up and be boyfriends. And I think Carly's gonna die. Do you think Carly's gonna die?
Wait, as in Ray Jepsen?
Yeah.
But she hasn't released Side C yet.
I know. I guess we have to wait. Maybe that's how it ends. Maybe it's gonna end with them taking her to the raft. Yeah. They're gonna take her to the raft, and her punishment is that she can't have her next hearing until Side C is done.
Yeah, maybe the next series is gonna be her completing Side C to Z. Because you know how...
Oh, yeah.
You know how every tape has 20, 25, 26 sides?
This joke was really going somewhere.
I momentarily forgot how many letters there were in the alphabet.
The alphabet.
Anyway, moving on. Is there anything else we want to say about the show?
What about you? What else do you think is going to happen?
everything's been said. I really don't think.
Okay.
Knowing how little they advanced the phase in WandaVision, I'm almost like confident that everything we've said is basically what's gonna happen. There's no way that they can take it.
I also hope Sharon's gonna come back. I hope Sharon comes in for the fight because definitely there's supposed to be a scene where she comes back and she's in a really hot suit. That's what everybody's been waiting for. So obviously because it wasn't there today, I mean, like not like a fighting suit, like a formal suit.
Okay.
And I feel like that's what's gonna happen. Maybe she's gonna be. Also, I hope John Walker dies. We've been talking about him this whole time because I forgot he existed. I hope he dies.
Yeah.
That's about it. That's pretty much it.
Right. So that's it. We close the book on the Falcon, the Winter Soldier, his Wanda, and her Vision.
Her Vision. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess we should move on now to our announcement of, I guess, the structure for our summer sem. So our summer sem is going to run for 17 continuous weeks.
Wait, we said that we're calling it the summer sem, right?
Yes, we are calling it the summer semester.
Oh, okay. Right.
Because it's going to be our summer batch of episodes or summer season, and we just wanted to evoke our old summer sems, I guess. 17 continuous weeks of episodes. We're not going every other week anymore for the duration of summer because the short form episodes, like the short form things that we'll be covering, like movies or short stories, will allow us to like read it at least or see it at least once in the week, rather than devoting the whole 2 weeks to finishing a novel. Ganun. So 17 continuous weeks of episodes. 3 of those episodes will be long-form subjects. So these are novels. 3 novels that we've picked. And for the benefit of you guys, the listeners, we are going to announce ahead of time what those long-form episodes are so that you can read in advance before those episodes drop. We will not, however, announce the short-form episodes because we want to give the feeling of like assignments. They feel like homework that you have to do, but it's fun.
Hopefully, fun homework.
Fun homework. Don't worry. We promise. So the long form episodes that we have in the summer semester, the books that we'll be covering. Well, I don't know if I should say books because one of them is not. Would you say it's not really a book? No. It is a long form story.
Yes, the last one?
Yes, the last one.
Yes, it is a novel, as we say, it is a novel length. Novel length, okay. Absolutely.
So, on May 22, we will be covering The Idiot by Elif Batuman. Not Dostoevsky one, the Elif Batuman novel. July 17, we will be covering Pride and Prejudice, baby.
Hells yeah, finally! By Jane Austen. You didn't say by Jane Austen. It would be weird. But then it would be weird if somebody... No, but then what if somebody was like, Pride and Prejudice?
By who?
But who? Who? God damn it!
And then our last long-form episode for the summer semester.
Which is, oddly enough, kind of related to what we were talking about today.
And it's going to be I guess our season finale. That's going to be our last episode for the
right,
summer.
That's right.
Our summer semester will end on August 28th. With the novel length
fanfic.
Would you like to do the honor?
I would. This is the novel length fanfic entitled Rumor Has It by Blue Ink 3. AO3 user Blue Ink 3. You can still find this on fanfic.net if you want to be that old school, but it has since been republished on on AO3, and if you want to get on that, go and read it. It is, I will say this much, it is an X-Men first class fanfic.
Yeah. So
and if you've never read it, now's your chance.
I've never read it, so now's my chance.
He's never read it. Yeah,
and
exactly.
I will be reading other fics this season because we're reading fics as well this season.
Yep. It's gonna be great.
There's that. And I guess that's it for us, no?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
You want to say anything else
please
before we go?
Please remember to
Oh, that's right. Yes, to rate,
review,
give us a rating if you enjoyed
subscribe.
this episode, and if you've enjoyed our episode so far, please feel free to give us a rating or a review on iTunes. Those really help. 5 stars are great. I like those 5 stars. Please give us 5
please,
stars.
please give us comments. Talk to
we'll
us,
keep
guys.
making
Talk
jokes,
to us.
and I'll keep doing actors' voices.
If you like our impressions,
If you
let us know.
or you know what? No. Let me challenge those who dislike our impressions. If you don't like the impressions that we do in the show, give us 5 stars anyway. Because I know that's gonna be so hard for you.
Fuel us.
That's
it's
gonna be so hard for you.
But maybe you should just give us tips on how we could do better.
Yeah.
How's that? Leave us a comment.
Leave us 5 stars first, and then put a comment saying how we could do better. Because then we'll know. Then we'll see it because we only check the 5 stars.
Then you'll see.
We only have the self-esteem to check the 5-star reviews.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. At the Rec Room Pod, Rec spelled REQ. We're also
Follow
on
us on
YouTube where we're posting like highlights of all our past episodes, and we'll be doing the same
for this episode.
For this episode and for future episodes.
If you want to follow us on our individual accounts as well, you can do that. They're linked on our Rec Room.
Our page or the show, and our show description and everything.
I forgot. I just remembered the joke I wanted to make earlier.
Yeah.
God damn it! Before we got interrupted by one of our interruptions, but at the top of the episode, I wanted to talk about. Sorry, just before we go, I wanted to make a joke about how one of the Bucky's trigger words is 17.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say that does this mean that Bucky is a 17 stan?
Han, duel, set.
Oh my god! Do you know their intro?
No.
I was like, I'd be really impressed because you've done Chinese. You've done Chinese here in the past.
I have, because I looked it up.
Yeah, you did. I
practiced.
He did. He practiced so hard, guys. I'll tell you 17s later, because I'm not gonna repeat it. And that's about it. If you're a 17 stan, follow me. Is what I wanted to say with that. We could talk about that. So are you gonna do?
I will say. I will cap it off by saying.
Okay.
We'll see you guys again. On May.
We will return in.
We will return on May 8th with our first episode of the summer semester, which will be on
the film
Lady Bird.
Lady Bird. That's right.
See you guys.
I hope people scream for that
on May 8th when we talk about Lady Bird.
Lady Bird. All right.
Bye.
Bye. That was a weird ending. Sorry.
Thanks for listening to The Rec Room. This episode was edited by me. Our artwork is by Mandy. Our theme song is 64 Sundays by Twin Musicom, which is licensed under Creative Commons Attribution License. Check out more of their music at www.twinmusicom.org. For more updates on The Rec Room, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at The Rec Room Pod. Rec spelled R-E-Q.